such a great time. It was all shot on film. This is television in the 1990s. We shot on film. It would take 2 weeks to do an episode. I was working with two actors, Andy Anderson and Ilona Rogers, and they basically, it was especially Andy actually, is I learnt so much of my screencraft from him, because he's got an incredibly natural, sort of affable talent on television, and I was like sort of watching. I was still out of drama school and sort of like trying really hard and all that sort of thing. My character gets shot, so I had that whole thing with all the explosives, strapped to my body, but it was like they only had one chance to do it because we were in overtime. There was like really, like the guarantors on set, they're just like in the producer, you have to get this in one take. And I was like, and I remember turning around and the stunty guy said to me, it's going to go 3, 2, 1, and then you throw yourself against the wall, and I have to do it right. I'm so nervous. And the stunty goes, 1, 2, 3, and oh my God. I was like, you have that moment, what's he doing? He's not going back, he's going forwards. I love playing Amanda Robbins. I love the character. I love that she was so... I found, one thing about Marlin Bay, I found the role of very much a little bit old-fashioned. I was the daughter, I was the love interest, and I have much stronger sort of sensibilities and that sort of, and I had to hold my tongue a little bit actually. So when I got hold of Amanda Robbins, I was like, yes, and she was just like so much fun. She was opinionated, she was politically incorrect, she was, she chain smoked for God's sakes, which you can't do anymore. I was seen as a role model at the time, and there I am chugging away on fags, and it's like, but it was fantastic, wonderful working with Chris Hampson and that team down there. Simon Bonefield was cameraman, and in that really sort of gritty Wellington style. It was great fun. It was really, it was shot in winter in Wellington. I always remember the weather around my work because and it was cold and gritty and dark. It was very odd, that film, for me, because it's like, now from looking back at it on a filmmaker's point of view, that is a really ambitious film, and they only had a really limited amount of film stock, and the whole thing was storyboarded, and because it was moving between two realities, especially when my character was changing, sort of changed into that femme fatale and back to that sort of last woman on earth character. I was shooting, we were just like going in and going, we're doing that shot there, 72, and you'd go in and just do the one line from it, and then they'd come along and now we're doing shot 97. So it was like absolutely shooting in a jigsaw, and we only had 1 or 2 takes of every shot. It was the most bizarre experience. And even watching it now, I'm sort of like, oh, it's weird. I came on at a really great time, really great directors, and my role was breaking up the marriage between Robin Malcolm's character, which was Ellen, and David, her baby had just died, and I came in and broke up their marriage. So I had the great, I had like people coming up to me in the supermarket and go, oh, it's so nice to meet you. I hate you so much. It was a perfect job because I was still at home with Baba, but she only popped up every 1 or 2, 3 episodes. So I was just like a few days work once every once a month or something like that. Perfect post-mama job. And I had just applied to train at Shortland Street, and I was about to start that in a few months. So that was the changeover period. So when I was training at Shorty Street, sometimes I'd be shooting downstairs and running upstairs to do my costume fitting for Amanda, SVP. A lot of me developing my craft as a director has been around the importance of performance and trying to set up processes within filmmaking where I make sure that those expectations I have of the actors are met, because I found a lot when I was developing as an actor that there was so much geared towards the mechanics of filmmaking, and people saying, oh, why aren't we getting these great performances? And it's actually just as important. I guess I began to find myself as a Maori artist, Maori filmmaker, because when I was an actor, I only really did Pākehā roles, which is really interesting because I've got blue eyes. I'm kind of fair skin, so I had that whole sort of thing of not being able to live in my identity as an actor. So moving to directing, I was like, now I can start really shaking this up. I did Pukoro, which is a Māori language TV show, and then a children's show then went on to Kōrero Mai, which are again Māori language teaching shows, and just it's such great it's really great mahi. Love it, love it, love it. The wonderful premise that we get to hear a bitter, angry, dark humoured woman having an absolute bitch fest while we're watching her in the most profound, beautiful moment of her life, which is giving birth. I mean, it's such a hilarious premise. It was really important that the tone of the film never was really harsh, like finding that kind of sort of wryness in it, and also keeping the images, like it's very strongly based, the images are based on fairy tale images we see every day, you know, like the whole film style is based around how those really, you know, like you see a lot of nappy ads, you know, where there's the mother and the sunshine and lifting the beautiful child, and the father, you know, like the audition script based, the guy part said should be able to play the dad in a nappy ad. So it was all sort of that sort of things that were fed all the time, that families are beautiful and lovely and babies and lovely, and the little girl who was just so beautiful and so innocent. I think it's just finding that people who really love that ironic black twist on life. And it's, you know, I love that tone of humour. And my favourite line in it is when you meet the sister later on, and the film just stops and it goes, "This is my sister. One day she'll turn 40, having achieved nothing significant ever." Went to Sundance with This Is Her and won a raffle. I didn't win a raffle. A friend of mine, Rachel Jean, won a raffle. Like pull a card out of the hat for post-production services at Universal Studios. So I was like, choice. I came back to New Zealand, applied to Creative New Zealand, just for a bit of money to match the post-production, shot it all on the red camera, made it, and then finished it at Universal. And it's turned out to be a really great little film. I think it's a really sad film, but I think it's allowed people to see sadness in a beautiful way. So again, it just has that thing when you start seeing your work sort of around the world, you can just sort of see that people are attracted to, if you get the universal themes in there, people are really, you know, they have a way in. I love seeing films overseas. What's going to be great is that we can take, the film was funded at, you know, won the raffle at Sundance, and now we can take it back, which is great. An adaptation of Witi Amaira's book, Nights in the Gardens of Spain, which is his story of coming out to his wife and his family, and was shot last summer at Mangawhai up north, and it actually premiered this year at the Hawaiian Film Festival. And it is a movie made for TV, but it's got a lot of cinematic attributes to it. So we did 2 sound mixes of the film. There's one for television and another one for film. And but that was having great producers who were really, you know, I was like, no, we have to do it like this, and this is really important. And I basically met Witi a few times before we shot, but he was very much like, you go make the film, this is your film. You know, he just, you know, gave me the handover, and he just gave me one note, which was, remember, it's all about the moral dilemma. And it is. It's such a massive moral dilemma of yourself over family. And working with Fred Renata, who's a DOP, you know, it was like we both had this little secret going, like, we're actually making a film, mate.